Joe Wolverton reporting for the New American. I am on site at the United Nations in New York City, reporting on the conference for the Arms Trade Treaty. What the United Nations is aiming to do is to restrict the manufacture, trade, transfer, and sale of weapons and ammunition throughout the globe. Their aim is, according to them, to increase peace and rid the world of the scourge of war by ridding evildoers of their weapons and their ammunition. When you read between the lines and when you talk to them, and I've talked to these people face to face over the course of the last 6 days or so, they will admit that there needs to be a complete and absolute disarmament of individuals. Well, as I was speaking to the American delegation yesterday, and in just the talk that is going around as one walks around listening to the various delegations and representatives, it seems that there will be a treaty that will be acceptable unanimously to the parties participating in this Arms Trade Treaty Conference, including the United States. As readers will know, within hours of his reaction, President Barack Obama called the American delegation to the Arms Trade Treaty and ordered them to vote in favor of this conference, which I'm attending. And it seems that they will now tomorrow vote in favor of this treaty. If that happens, of course, the treaty will be presented ultimately to the Senate, where, given the recent events with Senator Inhofe and Senators Cruz, Lee, and Paul, it seems it's unlikely that the Arms Trade Treaty would be ratified by the Senate as required by the Constitution. However, as our own very recent history has shown, President Obama will not be bound by constitutional restrictions on his power, and he believes himself authorized to issue executive orders in the absence of legislative action. So it seems that within months of this treaty being approved tomorrow, there is likely to be some domestic law or domestic executive orders which will execute the terms of the Arms Trade Treaty, which ultimately will include disarmament of civilians. I think the one thing that Americans should remember is that this is an historic treaty, for the simple reason that for the first time in history, we have the perfect storm of a president who feels that his power is unbound. We have a president who genuinely believes in civilian disarmament. And we have a United Nations that feels itself empowered enough to foist upon the world a treaty calling for civilian disarmament and the complete monopoly and consolidation of power over all weapons in the hands of government. That not only will weapons be included, everything from a handgun to a missile, but ammunition, components, and parts. And that if Americans fail to stand up now in defense of their Second Amendment right to keep and bear arms, that the United Nations and their agents within the United States government will carry out this civilian disarmament, will set ceilings on the amount of ammunition an individual can own. And within a generation, we could see a complete and absolute eradication of the Second Amendment through treaty and through executive order. This is Joe Wolverton. I'm reporting for the New American from the United Nations in New York City at the conference of the Arms Trade Treaty.